collectors and hot toy fans. Once again, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 631 of the deluxe set of Green Goblin from Spider-Man No Way Home. And this is one that I have wanted for a very, very long time. I have been a Spider-Man fan since the very beginning. And to me, Tobey Maguire is still the best version of the character. But even more so than Spider-Man, I feel like Green Goblin in the original Sam Raimi trilogy, played exquisitely by William Dafoe, set a level of expectation when it comes to a lot of comic book characters on the big screen. He absolutely nailed that role. And for as long as I've been collecting Hot Toy figures, I have wanted this particular character in my display. And now I finally have him. For the package, you can see absolutely gorgeous art right here. You got the Green Goblin right there. You can see you have a portal in the background, seeming like he's flying through it. Of course, you got some pumpkin bombs around there. Green Goblin, Spider-Man No Way Home, all that kind of jazz. You also can kind of see there in the background some tentacles for Doc Ock, which is another character that I absolutely love. You can see that the side here just has this whole green and purple sort of look. That kind of art kind of carries over on this side, though, where you can see more of the portal and everything, and more of the tentacles of Doc Ock there. When you come around to the back of the package, you can see you have Green Goblin right there looking absolutely terrifying, and then you got some electricity there, which kind of shows off, obviously, Electro. Of course, you got the various warnings and things like that right there, but it is a slip sleeve style cover, so when you lift this up like so, there we go, just like so, the back here looks fantastic. I absolutely love that, and you can see that it really does have a very multiversal sort of look to it. Like at the end of the movie, when all the universes seem to start to collide, this is kind of what that looks like, which I like how they recreated that. Carries over on the sides, much like there in the back. Of course, you got the Spider-Man logo there in the background there, which also looks really cool. Then when you come around to the front section, basically all you have right now is an empty package, because I took everything out because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. But you do have this open window that fully showcases the figure, his accessories, because this is the deluxe version. This is the set that comes with his glider. Now, I was not going to not get this figure without his glider. Green Goblin and the glider kind of go hand in hand. But also there's another version of this from the end of No Way Home. Is, as you remember, spoiler alert, and Norman actually shatters the helmet of the Green Goblin, which kind of represented that alternate personality. But when that personality emerged later on in the film, he kind of took on a different look, which I don't mind it so much, but it just comes across more of a hobgoblin sort of look. This green suit for the Green Goblin, which is kind of affectionately referred to by a lot of us collectors as the Raimi look, was what I wanted. And I wanted kind of everything. So getting the deluxe version with the figure, with the glider, was a must. But for the packaging on this guy, bringing in that little slip sleeve thing just to kind of illustrate all this. There you go. That's it for the packaging. We're not here for that. I just love how his face is just hanging out there. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. And here we have the Sam Raimi version of Green Goblin from Spider-Man No Way Home, opened up and out of its packaging. And honestly, there is not a lot that I do not like about this. This is a spectacular release by Hot Toys. Starting off first with his accessories, he really doesn't come with a lot per se, but he does come with a lot. Mostly because his largest and most encompassing accessory is the glider right here. He does come with the kind of usual array of hands. You got a pair of fisted hands that are on him. You have a pair of kind of clutching hands, which are absolutely fantastic. Great detail on here. Coming in to take a closer look at that, you can see a lot of great sculpted in detail where it really does match the overall ribbed look of his suit. All the way around looks absolutely fantastic. But these are not what you're going to use for things like pumpkin bombs. That is where these hands come into place. You see this nice kind of holding sort of thing where He does come with 3 pumpkin bombs. Let me come in and take a closer look at those. Gorgeous paint on here. You can see very nice green button sort of thing right there. And then all the way around, gorgeous gold coloring all the way to the opposite side. Everything looks very, very good. And then you can take this pumpkin bomb and just sit it inside there. And I also kind of like how you can put the thumb in a place where it's going to be looking like it's pushing that button, so he's about to throw it. I absolutely love that. You get both a right and left hand that allow you to hold that pumpkin bomb very nicely. And then you can see you do get 3 of those bombs. If I can get it on, then I'm just going to set there. But you saw that one, and then you get 2 additional ones here, which come in very handy because he's actually got places to store the pumpkin bombs on his glider, which is very accurate. There was a scene where Goblin was flying around, and then Spider-Man jumped up, broke this, and then activated one of the pumpkin bombs, and then that blew up. So, very, very cool. But one of the best aspects about this is this alternate portrait to William Dafoe. And yes, I say Dafoe because he himself said that that's basically the correct pronunciation, or at least some of his family calls him that. But I think it's just hilarious. But that is an amazing likeness all the way around. That is super creepy, super awesome. Just everything about that is an amazing sculpt. The hair looks really good. The smile, like even when you look, I don't know how much. That's about as close as I can get into it. But like everything about that, the teeth, he's got the gap in between his teeth. Everything on there is outstanding. And there's a bit of an age to him as well. You can see the wrinkles like around the side, even down here around his neck. Absolutely incredible. Now the other thing that's really cool about it is, as I talked about, the hair looks really good. But you can see that there is a bit of a separation. Because you can actually take this, remove this, and now going forward, they've seemed to kind of adapt to the fact that they want their figures to always have articulated eyes. And on the inside here, it's kind of hard to see, but you get this little tool right here that you can reach in, and I'm going to try to do this. You just plug that into his little eyeball there, and then you can... It's hard to... It's not easy to do, honestly. But you can articulate his eyes. Oh, that's... Oh, that's all sorts of crazy. It's kind of hard to get him in there perfectly. You can't really... I can't really get in there with my fingers, but you can move his eyes around and... Let me see. Yeah, I can't really get in there very well, but you can... With the finger... And the tool, like I said, is a little bit tricky to kind of maneuver, but there you go. You can see, you can straighten those out. So you can create a lot of... I mean, look at that. That is amazing. I mean, that was just completely general and weird, but you can have them looking off in the distance and really... oh my god, that is amazing. You can really create a different look for this guy by being able to do that. And I really like how they lined up everything. You can't even really tell that there's a seam right there. It kind of fits perfectly with the natural flowing of his hair. Absolutely fantastic. You also do get this alternate neck section right here, which allows you to swap it out with the Green Goblin portrait. You just basically, and I'll show you how to do that, just basically you're going to kind of wedge that through there. So if you wanted to have a situation where he's not wearing the helmet, maybe holding the helmet, something like that, you can do that very, very easily. And there's also another little bit that kind of brings this piece into play in that little section right there, and I'll show that here in a bit. But the biggest part, again, is the glider. Setting him kind of back a little bit more. The glider is outstanding, and it's huge. Absolutely gorgeous. You got these little clips right here. You got little posts so you can get them positioned on there very, very nicely. But gorgeous detail all the way around this. You can see a lot of gorgeous coloring with like the silver. You can see a little bit of burn marks on there. The purple looks really good. You can also see a little bit of dirt and grime in those little crevices. But absolutely amazing. Absolutely. Now, like I talked about, this little section right here can remove, and then there is a whole section right there, so you can take the pumpkin bomb, actually put that in there. It'll sit there perfectly fine, and then you can take this and put that back on there. So you can have weapon storage for the most part. You can have one of them in his hand. It comes out it's very tricky to kind of get that out. It clips in there very, very securely. My fingernail in there now. Well, I won't fight with it. But you can store those inside there, which is nice because these little guys like rolling all over the place. But absolutely amazing all the way around. Again, you can see some really nice dirt elements like getting in there. You can see that looks really very good. You got these little bladed sections. I do kind of wish that these articulated like in that movie, the very first Spider-Man movie, where they like jutted out and then that's what basically ended up killing them. But all the way around, come around to the bottom again, gorgeous silver paint throughout the entire thing. A little bit darker of a coloring, but you can see you have a section right underneath here that allows you to remove this. Maybe I can, there we go, pop that section out. And then this is the battery compartment, and you have a light up section, which that is also really very cool. Gorgeous green light on there, giving a Green Goblin sort of look. Very reflective on there as well, which looks really good. And yes, you can see that these sections here are articulated, so you can really get kind of any pose that you want with this. You got a section right up here. You also have a section right down at the bottom. Do they rotate? I don't think they rotate. I don't want to force it or anything like that. But you can articulate these all the way out, up, down. You can create a TIE fighter looking thing with it. And then with the feet, like I said, you can plug those on here. This part here gets a little bit tricky to do. It's like you kind of have to, I don't like doing it, and I put them back and I shouldn't have, and I don't remember which ones they were, but I want to say that it was this outer section, but I'm going to have to double check. But you can put the feet right in there, you can position these in there, and then these also are on ball joints, so you can really get a good, kind of keep this out, get a good pose going with this for the feet, so that you can get a really cool dynamic look for him flying around on his glider, which is, again, iconic to the character. And I'm just trying to line that back up. There we go. Like I said, in my opinion, the deluxe version was the way to go with this, because you got this with it, and you can't have the Green Goblin without his glider, in my opinion. You got the thrusters here in the back. Now, this is the part where I guess if I'm going to make some type of a complaint, I would say the stand. You have this base section right here, which looks really good. You got this very nice spot varnish Green Goblin logo right there with him in the background. Spider-Man No Way Home, Green Goblin. Now, you have two separate sections here. You have this section, which you can just, I'm going to try and remove it, and take this piece off, just because that's how you slide that on there, and that's a little bit, there we go, pull that off. So if you wanted to just have him stand there, you can just use this kind of thing. You have to kind of unscrew that a little bit. Just so if you wanted to have him stand there, you could use that. Perfectly fine. Not a problem with that. This whole contraption, though, is kind of screwballish. So you have this piece here that if you really wanted to, you're going to take this, put this down and through there. I mean, I don't know why I didn't do it. There we go. You just bring that down. Now, you have this little section right here, which you can take this, and you can see it's definitely back heavy, but you have a hole on the underside right here that you'll take this and you plug that into it. Getting that in decently. There we go. And now you can take this, and that helps to kind of balance things, obviously. And I'm going to try to bring the camera up a little bit more. And then you can take this little clip thing. Realistically, I don't think you really need the clip. It might just help to stabilize them. But you can then take this guy, open that clip section, put that there, put his feet in there. I'm going to set it up later on. But now you can have him gliding on it, which is cool. I just feel like it's a really unstable kind of thing. You have to really position it very well. And truthfully, I wish that it was smaller. When you take a look at this large gliding section, don't fall down. You stay right there. Stay right there. No, well, we'll just push you there. Like, I wish this could be half the size. It would still hover, obviously, you know, or maybe like around here or something like that. Just take that out. Because this is a very large setup now. And like I said, very tall, and it's wobbly. I think that the base should have been a little bit bigger. They probably should have went with a quarter scale base or something like that. But all in all, I like it. I just think that the base is definitely a little bit too much. I'm trying to turn. I'm just sticking things in the camera so you can't see anything. Trying to turn the lights off now. Well, I'll just leave them on there. But for his accessories, that's about it. Like I said, he doesn't come with a ton. Realistically, he doesn't really need a lot. Maybe some of those cure things would have been cool to kind of include with some of these extra characters or something like that. But for the most part, I'm thrilled with it. Like I said, iconic. And if you are a comic book fan, Spider-Man is, or was, kind of a precursor to everything that we got. And is still widely regarded as one of the very best superhero genre films. But now, coming in to take a closer look at the Green Goblin himself, again, this is an absolutely amazing looking figure. Detail-wise, it nails it. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about that Sam Raimi Green Goblin was originally it was not going to be a mask. They were going to put a prosthetic, which was honestly terrifying, and there's test footage of it out there, that was going to cover William Dafoe's face. This, I think, is a much better way of going about it. Detail-wise, though, you can see all of it. You got the ears there, which protrude very nicely. Gorgeous yellow eyes. Incredible open mouth here with... When you come in, if I can get in there close enough, you can see that there's actually a mesh in there, and it's very hard to tell, but there is a mouth underneath it, which I talked about when we were looking at the eye section on the unhelmeted. You have this piece right here. This little bit is what you kind of like put in there and move things around. This, though, actually is used. I'm going to pop this off for a second because I'm even going to show you how to swap out the heads real quick. But on the underside here, you can see this flesh color sort of section. There's a hole in there. You take this and you plug that right in there. Kind of give it a good wiggle, and you can actually remove that. It's tricky to do. Get it in there nice and tight, and you can remove it. Now, whether or not that looks like William Dafoe, no, I can see it coming in. Again, just focusing on that. I guess, you know, I kind of can see it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's there, but not too, I mean, that's obviously, but I love the fact that they have that on there. And what you can actually do is when you're kind of displaying him with the head section on, you can actually have this, which now has this open section here, which just makes it look like he completely removed that, which is perfect. Now, to actually swap this piece out, what you're going to want to do, this whole section right here is actually attached via Velcro. So very carefully remove that from the body. That also pulls off that neck joint right there, but you can see you got a kind of felt section around here, and I don't know if you could actually see that, but you got a felt section around there. So then you bring this other section out, which basically is the same thing, but it doesn't go all the way up the neck. And then you got the hook sections underneath here. You got this piece here, which is the back. Kind of take this and you're going to line it up there. But what you kind of want to do is kind of come on here on an angle so you can kind of get the top section underneath the breastplate here. Kind of bring that around, bring that down, kind of just wiggle and futz with that till you get that in a kind of straight position, which I do not have. There we go. And then you kind of want to angle this. Now, these sections here are also on Velcro, but I feel like you don't really need to do that. You can kind of just wiggle that underneath there. But they do tell you to remove that. You can kind of hear the Velcro. I don't like taking the Velcro off of it, though. But you can see you got that Velcro piece right there. Just put that back on there. Line everything up. You can angle that. There we go. Just like that. Get that on there nice and tight. And then you take the William Dafoe head, kind of squeeze that around. It is a little bit tight. And then get that good solid push, which because this is really tight. So, get that on there. There we go. And now you have that, which, again, absolutely terrific. And then you can easily take the hand. You can have him now holding. I mean, it's not going to work real well, but you can do something like that. And, I mean, I absolutely love the fact that you can display it like that as well. I mean, that is really very, very cool. And, again, allows you to utilize both of these. A lot of times you get two different portraits and you can't really use both of them. You have to pick and choose. This allows you to kind of do both. Now, granted, I am probably not going to use this one because I love that look of the Green Goblin with him kind of flying around and everything. I mean, I absolutely love it. So I am probably not going to utilize that portrait. So, I mean, it's one of those kind of funny things where I have the ability to, because the accessories that they give you, and then you just take this and then you just bring this back up in there and just kind of push that right back into place. It is a little bit tricky to do, but getting that in there, just kind of line that up. Well, maybe I'll just use my regular fingers to kind of do it. Yeah, there we go. But that's an absolute amazing sort of thing, and I think it works perfectly. You can see that you have the larger neck section here, which does make it look really cool how they kind of have part of it, but not all of it, and that is wonderful. Now, coming in to take a closer look at the rest of the details on the suit, a lot of different elements on this. You got a rubbery section in a lot of places. So this is a rubbery material. This the suit is rubbery material. These bits here are a slightly harder plastic, and then you have abdomens and oblique muscles here, which are also slightly harder. So there is some mixed media going on in here, which is interesting to kind of see. Same kind of thing with the arms, which I absolutely love the way that they did those. You have this, get that kind of straight on this, gorgeous yellow section that comes down. It carries down with the legs as well. But again, you got that mixed plastic, the rubber section, all of it really extremely well done. It does kind of limit some of his articulation, though, I will say that. So you're not going to get a lot of crouching poses, which is unfortunate. That's probably one of the aspects about the figure that I would say is the weakest, his articulation. And that's really unfortunate. And a lot of it just is kind of up here, because you can't really do much with his legs. I mean, basically that's about it. Without pushing it and damaging it, you can't really do too terribly much, and that's really kind of unfortunate, because a lot of people are going to want to have that crouched kind of pose on the glider, which you're not going to be able to do, unfortunately. But you can see you got that gorgeous detail with the plastic section, the rubber section going all the way down the legs. Again, you got those gold elements that go all the way down to his feet. Gorgeous boots here with a lot of flexibility in that. That's a very high ball joint right there, so you can get a lot of real good poses with it. But again, you're going to be kind of limited in terms of some of the display options. Most of it is going to come down in terms of bending his knees and getting him on the glider, and then maybe kind of positioning this. I mean, all the articulation is still there, but it's definitely a much more limiting kind of thing. But you can imagine some really cool sort of poses with the guy. The articulation, since I've already been kind of talking about it, you don't get a ton with the regular William Dafoe portrait. It looks up pretty decently, looks down decently. There's a lot more range of motion here with the Green Goblin helmet, but that's still a pretty good range of motion. Rotates, obviously, that's a ball joint. The shoulders here do move in and out. There is a butterfly joint. There is a rotation at the bicep, but again, when it comes to moving it forward, you're kind of pulling at this, and I don't like that. So you kind of have to rotate things around to get a wider or much more forward kind of pose. But so it's possible. I just don't like pushing it too terribly much. Again, you do have the rotation at the bicep. You have two bends here at the elbow, but with the rubbery material, you're probably not going to want to leave it in that pose for too terribly long. That's just going to damage things. You have the wrists, the hinges, all that stuff is there. The body still feels like it's basically the same Hot Toy style body, but again, with the suit, it does kind of limit it. So you do get some side to side, a little bit of forward and back, not a lot. Rotation is not really there because, again, you're going to start pulling on the suit and don't want to damage it. In and out, you can see that you can get about that far, but really only about that far without pushing things for the upper part of the hip, which is definitely unfortunate. You do have a rotation at the upper section, which is normal. Very nice ratchet joints here for the knees, double ratchet joints, but you can see once you push it up, it can't, well, no, it's not, I mean, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I also don't like these little pieces, feel like they're glued on, but this one here is a lot more loose than this one is, so gonna have to keep my eye on that, and that's not Velcro, that's definitely glue, and the Hot Toys glue, as Shartimus Prime likes to talk about, is absolute crap on this. It just is. When it comes to the head section here, I actually had to reattach the magnets because the magnets pulled the glue apart, so that kind of sucked. And then the ankles, which have a tremendous amount of articulation, so lots of good range of motion potentially in them, but it is limited by the suit, which is unfortunate. But it kind of makes sense just because of the way that the suit is. I do know that the Hobgoblin looking version of this particular character in No Way Home does have a lot more range of motion. So that is definitely a plus on that one. I just really think that the overall look on this is too iconic for me. And honestly, I don't know if I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I know I really like the glider. I don't really have a lot of space for the glider, to be totally honest. So maybe, oh, and I do not have that on there properly at all. I don't have space for the glider. So maybe I will just kind of set it up where, and I'm fighting with this now as I'm sitting there talking to you. I might just set this up good old Norman like this, having him hold the mask. I don't know. I don't know. Come back in a few weeks after watching this video and ask me what I've decided to do. So now you get to see like some of my closet. Ultimately though, as you can see, this is a really large set now when you get everything all attached, but he is absolutely incredible looking. I mean, that is iconic. And granted, I mean, like, I do not have this guy as kind of posed as I really wish. I wish I could get these hip sections bent a little bit more for more of a crouching look, but it is very cool nonetheless. But this is definitely not how I'm going to be able to display him. It will more than likely be something like this, with the glider kind of hanging out there in the background, with Green Goblin there, just because while it does take up a bigger kind of footprint, it's not as tall, and I just don't have that much space. And these Spider-Man villains really take up a lot of area. Venom, Carnage, even when you look at, like, Mysterio, the base with the little effects, that took up a lot. This guy is absolutely fantastic, though. The glider looks incredible. The amount of detail, the paint applications, everything on that, including the articulation of the wings, is all really very well done. The only thing that I wish that was done a little bit differently was a little bit bigger of a base, just because I feel like that would help to kind of steady it on the ground. He doesn't really come with a lot in terms of accessories. I mean, he comes with a couple pumpkin bombs, hands. The alternate portrait is outstanding, and I think ultimately I am going to go with this as my display, just because, again, it's more in line with the character, I suppose. Figure-wise is really well done also. The rubbery suit always does make me a little bit more nervous, especially when you're going to leave it in like an exaggerated pose like I had. Most of these poses, or most of these kind of bends here, I don't think it's going to do too much to him. You do kind of, kind of have to play with his feet to kind of get him to balance there. But for the most part, I feel like it's, a good representation of the character. And you can see, like, with the bending of the legs there, you can kind of get it looking like he's crouching a little bit more. But, again, you kind of, I don't know, you have to futz with him a great deal. But the ultimate kind of measure of this guy is how does he look, and I think that he looks absolutely incredible. The color looks really good. It's a darker green, which is accurate to No Way Home than what we saw in the very first Spider-Man movie, but I like it. It gives a darker element to it. While the suit obviously is very accurate looking as well, that is probably one of the biggest downfalls about it. It does limit the posability on him. All the articulation is still there. All the joints are still there. It's just underneath this rubber suit, which causes you to not be able to pose him in a wide variety of poses. I mean, like I said, you can still kind of get like a crouch kind of, although he's like leaning back here. So, I mean, again, you kind of have to like. That's not terribly bad. I mean, that's a little bit better. I like that. But you do have to futz with him a bit. I think he looks absolutely incredible, though. I love it. And it's, like I said, iconic. So without a doubt, I recommend picking this up. I am not the biggest fan of that. I keep calling it like a Hobgoblin look. Mostly because he's like wearing the hood and stuff, much like the Hobgoblin kind of did in the comics. Coloring wise, it doesn't really match or anything, but it's that same kind of look. This is my preferred look for the Green Goblin, and I think that they nailed it. I am so happy to finally have this guy. So all that being said, if this version, or even if that other version, is one that you would like to add to your collection, they both are available right now over at Big Bad Toy Store. A link right down there in the video description, where you can swing on by BBTS and check out availability on him, as well as the wide variety of other Hot Toy figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Once again, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in and watching, and until next time, this is Optibotimus saying adios, au revoir, and auf Wiedersehen.